Independent journalist Hollie McKay was in Afghanistan as the Taliban took over. Here's what she told NewsNation 1 year ago as it was happening.
My life has completely changed. I went from being able to be fairly free and walk through the markets and really enjoy the life. And within really 30 minutes to an hour, I've been relegated to my home and sort of just hunkered down right now and as the situation unfolds.
She eventually did make it out safely and is now recalling the collapse of Afghanistan, authoring a new book, Afghanistan, the End of the U.S. Footprint and the Rise of Taliban Rule. And Hollie joins us now this morning. Thanks for being here. I can't believe it's been 1 year, but now 1 year later, what is it like looking back? What was it like being inside Afghanistan as it fell to the Taliban?
It was certainly an incredibly surreal experience. And mind you, I was in the north of the country. I was in Mazar-i-Sharif, so I was far from Kabul. And Mazar fell the day before Kabul. So it was a very precarious situation because there really wasn't a way out or even a way to kind of get back to Kabul at that point. So we didn't know how the Taliban was going to treat foreigners, a journalist, a woman. So it was just a lot of really, really unknown. And it was a situation that, despite all the war zones I've worked in, it was a situation I'd never experienced before. So it was just sort of a minute-by-minute experience.
Absolutely. Even us from half a world away reporting it was minute-by-minute, and so much concern shared around the world. How about now, 1 year later? What are you hearing from the people you were in touch with there and how they're doing now?
You know, I think life for Afghans largely is incredibly difficult, and that is really driven by a humanitarian disaster. More than 90% of people are just struggling to find enough food or afford enough food, and that really comes down to when you have an artificial economy that's propped up by a war, by NGOs, by contracting, and you've got 90% of the population employed in this sector, when that is literally ripped away overnight, as it was when Kabul fell, it's a big struggle for people just to kind of get by. But also on the flip side, life for a lot of Afghans, particularly in the village areas outside the city, you could also argue is marginally better, and that is because there isn't the active war that was happening for the past 20 years. So they don't have the same sort of risk of violence, while there are certainly a lot of other difficulties to contend with.
Right. I've heard some say, well, we're oppressed, but we're alive now. But certainly for women, conditions have deteriorated. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it is a real struggle for women, especially in the city areas such as Kabul. Over the past 20 years, I think that was, a real kind of victory of being there, was the amount of work and schools and educational institutions that were really available to women that weren't previously. And you've seen that ripped away. It's been a year, and girls have not been able to go back to school. I've spoken to a lot of women in universities, and even that is a really big struggle. The Taliban has mandated the burqa, but having said that, a lot of women are not necessarily following that particular mandate. So it's just a difficult, very unknown situation. And we're still seeing a lot of very brave women that are continuing to fight. There are underground schools. So there is a lot of defiance happening, but it's certainly a big struggle. And if you look forward to the future, with women in the education, it's very hard to know what is going to be their future if they can't get the schooling that they need.
Absolutely. And I know you've been in touch with many Afghans who wanted to get out, who tried to get out, but were not successful. What stories have stuck with you the most in terms of the people you've met and the ones you've stayed in touch with?
I think it's been incredibly difficult. I think, unfortunately, when we look back at a lot of the evacuation, because it was such a mess, because there really wasn't the checks and balances in place that should have been, a lot of people were able to leave the country that perhaps were not necessarily the most deserving. I certainly know a lot of people, men and women, who worked with the United States over the past 20 years, and unfortunately they were never able to get on an evacuation flight, and since then have almost sort of given up the chance to leave. And on that, I think that just comes down to an incredibly messy withdrawal process that we also can't forget that happened, and a lot of people that have been left behind and trying to sort of pick up the pieces of their lives.
Yeah, and you say the so-called rescue missions inside Afghanistan have been more of a myth than reality. What do you mean by that?
I think for the most part, it's very difficult, and that is by things like the United States might tell somebody that they have to go to a second country in order to apply for asylum, but people can't even get out of the country, let alone to a second country to apply. There's also been a lot of corruption within the evacuation process, people with the manifests that are demanding thousands of dollars from all these poor Afghans who certainly can't afford that. So there is sort of still a lot of that bribery that is happening that's really impacting people. And I think that also really goes back to the crux of the problem over the past 20 years, which I don't think gets enough attention. And that was just the amount of corruption that existed in the government, in NGOs, in a lot of things that were happening in the country. And when that sort of went unchecked for so long, I think that really contributed to the fall, because money was never going to where it was supposed to go to.
All right, Hollie McKay, thank you so much for joining us 1 year later. We're glad you made it out and are here to tell the story of so many people still inside. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.